Hey everyone, Blockchain Bernie here, broadcasting live from fabulous Las Vegas. And I'm streaming today in a very special situation. So, first of all, I'm at the WeWork here, which is where our offices are in Las Vegas. And guess what? Their Wi Fi is off today. So, I have to stream now using my cell phone, and it's also not the best reception. So, I hope the quality is okay and you can see and hear me well. It's all live, so what can I do, right? Second, this video is about PDAs on Solana, program-derived accounts and program-derived addresses, and that's the vehicle on Solana to store data on-chain. It is important for developers that build smart contracts and build software and Web3 dApps on Solana. A very, very important concept to understand, and also if you're not a developer, it's important to understand those PDAs, and it's, a little bit different than other stuff that we've heard about. So that's why I made this little video. But before I dive into that, let me talk about one other topic, and that's the outage of the Solana blockchain that we had this night, and we're almost recovered. So we need 80% of stake coming back for a chain restart. We're now at 74% or so. It's 9:22 a.m. Pacific on February 25th. So we're almost back. And of course, it's a really bad event and sad event to see that the Solana blockchain had an outage again. I was part of it all night, right? So all night I was on the Solana Discord operating one of the Solana validators, right? And I was part of the community that made the decision, what do we do? Do we restart the chain? Do we revert back to an older version of the validator software, or do we actually stay with the latest version? We decided to recommend for all the validators to go one version back to 1.13. That's what I did with my validator. And but it's obviously just a recommendation, so all the 2,000 validators of the Solana chain can do whatever they want, right? So they are not being told what to do. We're restarting the chain. It should be back up. Let me just say, it is so great to work with all of these other validators. Thank you, everyone that was there. Some of them were traveling to vacation, and before they hit the airplane, they initiated the restart and all these type of things, right? Those guys are really, really competent. They are really, really passionate, and they don't hesitate a bit about any of these events. And they don't lose trust in that chain, or neither do I. And I feel like if we look a year or 2 or 5 into the future and look back to this event in retrospect, it will be just like a nothing, right? Because it's just a bug in the software. It seems to be different this time. It's not initiated by a spam of the network, like people spamming transactions into it. It's just an old-fashioned bug that is going to be fixed, as in every other software as well. And in the future, we'll just forget about it. So that was that thing. Sorry, I needed to say that because I just got maybe 1 or 2 hours of sleep because I was, on the Solana Discord all night and helping restart that chain. So, but today it's about PDAs, program-derived address, program-derived account. So we need to know what is an account in Solana, right? And that's also a little bit counterintuitive. An account in Solana could be what you think it is, like a wallet address, and then in that wallet address, in that account, you have balances of you have SOL balances, you have token balances, maybe USDCs or BUNK or NFTs or whatever your tokens are. These are all kept in that account, and obviously that needs to be stored somewhere, and it needs to be stored on chain. That's why it's important to have these accounts. And but there are other accounts, right? If we write apps, distributed apps, dApps on Solana, DeFi apps, Web3 apps, they need to store data also, because code programs, as everywhere, they need to have like variables that store data between two invocations of the software and stuff like that. And they can store that on chain as well. And they have their accounts as well that are owned by programs, owned by code. And that's why they're called PDAs, program-derived accounts. Program-derived accounts have an address as well, just as your wallet address. So that would be the program-derived address, right? And an address for your wallet account is a key pair, right? So there's a public key that people can use to, send you something or so. And there's a private key that you need to use to sign transactions to get money out of your wallet, right? Or get assets out of your wallet, for that matter. So with that private key, you can do things. And with the programs, they have their own addresses that are not key pairs, right? There is just a public address, the program-derived address. But the only thing that can, change what's in that account is the program, right? And how Solana does that is they create an address that does not have a public key, right? So if there was just a remote chance that there is a corresponding private key to that address, then someone would just create a new wallet in Xandeum or so, and just by coincidence would end up creating that same address that the program also has, right? And while that probability is ridiculously low, it is better to have it eliminated, right? Because we don't want that. We want, when we write a program, we want only our program to own that account, right? So only we can actually change the contents of what's stored there. So what they do is they bump it off the curve, so that's how it's called, right? And that just means they find an address that looks the same as a public key, but actually it is not a public key of a key pair, because it is mathematically proven that this address has no corresponding private key. So that way this thing is 100% safe, and only your program can actually manipulate what's in that account, right? So that's how these PDAs work. And that means each of those programs that you use to swap your tokens, to do whatever, do some DeFi activities or run some Web3 stuff, it is all safe through these PDAs. But let me tell you also one thing: the amount of data that can be stored in these PDAs is rather smallish, because you can store some kilobytes in PDAs. You can store maybe a megabyte or a handful of megabytes, right? That would already cost you several $100s, maybe several $1,000s. But if you want to store like a gigabyte or a terabyte there, it just won't work. It won't be economical, right? Because the way the Solana network is designed, it's a global state machine, right? And that means the contents of all accounts will be kept in each and every validator. Right now we have over 2,000 validators on Solana. The number will grow, and each and every validator will need to keep the contents of each and every account at any time, basically in RAM, right? And you know how valuable RAM is, right? So it would not be possible to store large amounts of data for Web3 apps, right? For like a Web3 version of Airbnb, or a Web3 version of whatever Web2 app you can think about, right? That won't work with these PDAs. It's just for some internal storage that you need, maybe the status of your token swap that you're doing or stuff like that, right? But no major amounts of real storage. And that's why we are building the Bitoku storage chain. So the ones that know me know that. We're building a storage layer for Solana with its own blockchain, right? So it's going to be two blockchains communicating with each other, right? Solana as the L1 blockchain, and we will be able to handle other L1s in the future, or L2s even, right? So it doesn't have to be Solana. We're just starting with Solana just because it's the fastest L1 blockchain. And then we have our own storage blockchain with our own validators. And in our blockchain, we have storage provider nodes in addition to the validator nodes. So there's going to be millions of storage provider nodes because they run on cheap devices, right? Even Raspberry Pis or so. And they store all the data, and obviously when someone wants to store data, the data doesn't have to be on all of those storage provider nodes. There is just some degree of redundancy, like whatever, say 17 different storage providers, right? So you store something, you have it on 17 storage providers out of millions. And and then the validator nodes of the Bitoku chain, they keep validating that these storage provider nodes will actually do what they are supposed to do. And if they don't, we will just replace that storage provider node with a different one, right? And since you always have 17, even if 3 or 5 or so fail at the same time, we can still get enough others to store your data instead. So that's actually quite revolutionary. It is the storage layer for Web3. We're building it right now. You can be part of it. Please check the link in the description, bitoku.io. You can get a license to run a validator node in that blockchain. That is pretty exciting. And if you like content like this, please give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It's really important for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing, and catch you guys next time.